if you're talking 2 years, that's not enough to me. And yes, of course, Jaylen Brown may also leave in 2 years, and I understand that. That's also reality. But like, you can't be all bullish about building around the Jays anytime anybody ever suggests trading one of them, and then be like, wait a second, trade him anyway because he's definitely going to leave in 2 years. Like, do you think he's here or not? So you have to commit to one of the. You got to commit to one of those things.
That's not the reason I'm saying do this. The reason I'm saying do this is because you're getting Durant.
I know, but when people entertain trading him for other things, and everyone's like, don't split up the Jays, that's insane. They're saying it with the understanding or the belief that they're staying here. So when you now all of a sudden Durant bats his eyes at you and you're like, yeah, Brown's probably going to leave anyway. It just seems inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, that's not my main reasoning. I mean, it's definitely a factor down the line that you would use to, convince yourself to do this, because you are weighing that no matter what you want to think about it. None of us know. The Celtics won't know until that very last minute. We just had this conversation the other day of that window that's, open right now, but could close fast if things go the wrong way with Brown there and his ambitions and what he wants to do in the future. Again, not my top priority here at all. The top priority is bridging that gap with Golden State, with the other contenders who are going to be back, Milwaukee, whoever else joins that mix. I think it's probably just those two teams right now if I had to scan what the league looks like right now. And you are just a tick below them. You get Durant, you keep this core together, I think you're definitely at the top. But how much beyond Brown do you have to give up?
A lot, I think.
I think definitely.
I think you're doing 3 and 2 pick swaps probably. Like that seems to be the.
They asked for Rob. I don't think that would be unreasonable on Brooklyn's part, because again, Brooklyn has to stay competitive because they don't have picks into the future. They can't bottom out and tank.
Jimmy, where are you at on all of this? It doesn't have to be necessarily the Jaylen Brown thing. At first, we were just talking about kind of all of the factors we thought would kind of potentially derail the Nets, and all of the things that were brought up. Was Kyrie being a flake and pissing people off, Simmons being too scared to see the court. I did not have Kevin Durant demanding a trade 2 days after Kyrie opted in.
Yeah, who had that? Right?
Who had that one? So anyway, what your thoughts to that, or kind of the whole Brown trade speculation?
First, I want to say that this is classic. As we come close to free agency, the start here, this is classic NBA offseason stuff. This is why people die for the offseason, because you don't get this in any other sport but the NBA. Just the crazy trade demands, the free agency signings, the surprises, the player empowerment on the NBA right now has never been stronger. I'm as confused, I think, as everybody else is. It's very hard to make trade, to put trade proposals out there, because the great unknown is what are these players thinking? Where do they want to play? How long are you gonna get them to commit to you? Right? That's the big thing. We're talking about whether we think Jaylen Brown might want to stay. If you're the Nets, you had no idea that Kevin Durant would demand, a trade. And if he does get traded to Boston, is he gonna like it here, or is Boston just the next team? We've seen it with Kyrie. So it's so hard to figure out if it makes sense for a team to do this. If you want to go just based purely on skill, I still think Kevin Durant is up there. Obviously, that's not a hot take. I think he's still that guy. And I think if you can get him without completely dismantling your team, I think you can make a strong case to get that done, and that isn't to say that the Celtics aren't a contender as built. We know that they are. But do you think that everyone on this team is getting better? Do you think they're currently built in a way that they can compete with a healthy Bucks team, or a Heat team that will probably end up with free agent X in a few minutes here, or a team like the Warriors or the Suns, a Suns team that I think a lot of people, were surprised went out the way they did. And then a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who, if Ja Morant doesn't go down, who knows what happens with them. So
deep talented
lot of good teams out there that if you're not constantly trying to find ways to improve, other teams are. So it would be stupid for anyone else to say this is an easy decision. You trade for Durant, or this is an easy decision. You keep Brown. There's so many X factors involved. There's so many things that could sway one way or the other. But for me, man, if you get and I know Durant's getting up there, and I'm speaking as a 34-year-old myself.
He's do it, Boston.
I can't ball the same way today as I could 4 or 5 years ago. So I get it, but I can still get up and down the court, and I think Kevin Durant can too. So my point is, I think he can still definitely take you from a loser in the NBA Finals to a winner in the NBA Finals. My only concern is, and listen, it sounds like he doesn't want to come to Boston, so maybe we're just wasting time here. Anyways, my only concern would be, is he going to buy into Ime? Is he going to buy into the defense? Is he going to buy in? Does he like the fans? I mean, I don't know any home team that doesn't like the fans.
The fans will love him once you put on the green.
Kevin Durant's a different dude. He seems to like he wants to keep to himself, show up to the court, play basketball, and go home. And I think that's one of the reasons why he thought Brooklyn was going to be a good place to play. He didn't have to be in the Madison Square Garden limelight, but it obviously didn't work out, Kyrie and everything else. So all that to say that it's just kind of a wild time right now. And it's cool that the Celtics are even able to be in the discussion. So many teams would bend over backwards to even have the chance to trade for a guy like Durant. Whether or not he wants to come here is a different story. But are they capable of making a trade to acquire him? Yes, they are.
They might have the best package of all.
Exactly. So good on them for being in that situation, because you just never know when a player of this magnitude is going to become available. It was hard.
And this is the difficult part of the conversation, Jimmy.
I know. I just wish they did it a few years ago. Like, of all of the Jaylen trades, you were talking, not him, but Jaylen Brown has been involved as the centerpiece of a deal involving him, maybe another young player, and some picks involving Anthony Davis in his prime, Jimmy Butler.
What does this mean? What does this mean? What does this comment mean? Somebody tell me what this means. Wait, what the hell?
It's definitely about you, isn't it?
Jimmy's that one friend who you hope doesn't text you to hang, but once he does, you have a great night. What the hell does that mean? Who doesn't want me to text them? Second part is absolutely true, 100% true.
I knew it had something to do with it.
It means you're pleasant surprise, Jimmy.
Unbelievable.
No, it means you're kind of in for the whole Jimmy experience, but it ends up being,
you have to be ready to go out. You have to be ready for the whole night if you invite me.
Well, that could definitely be possible.
Anyway,
here's the thing that's difficult about this conversation, and yeah, you're right, John. This would have been great a couple of years ago, but it's here now, so you have to.
It's the 34 I hate. 34 plus, and if everyone here thinks 2 good years and then you're starting to decline.
Not 2 good years, 2 championship favorite years.
Come on, says who?
Me.
Who isn't saying it? I mean, John, you can go either way. It's all.
You're saying they're the championship favorites, switching Durant from Brown automatically. There's still a lot of needs here, and especially
when we talk about Brown.
Are they the best team in the East? Yes.
Yeah, and you still have a lot of good supporting pieces there.
It's going to be them, the Bucks, and the Heat again.
Kevin Durant's going to look around and be like, who are these? Who are the rest of these guys?
He would have to give his blessing, meaning he would have to say, okay, yeah, I can win with these guys. So that's already out of the picture. He's not going to come here being like, what did I just do?
I think Tatum. How much does he believe in Tatum?
You have to pitch it to him, right? In a way.
Yeah.
So it's no different than.
Let me ask you this. What would you rather do? Jaylen, a buttload of picks, and maybe another player for KD, or Tatum straight up?
I'm not trading.
Tatum straight up. No.
I'm not trading.
Why is that an option?
I'm just playing a game here, a hypothetical.
Let me ask the question. Well, what do you mean a buttload of what, 3 picks and like 2 picks? Like,
what if you do Jaylen?
You have to trade all your picks.
Jaylen and all your picks, or Tatum straight up?
I don't like this game.
You do the Jaylen one.
Well,
you do the Jaylen one. I do the Tatum
one. You might as well.
Oh,
no, you might as well do the.
How did John go from the biggest trade Brown guy to keep Brown?
I'm not. You rewind the tape. What was my bold prediction for the preseason? I thought Brown was going to overtake Tatum.
No, John's worried about the other, surrounding.
You're worried about mortgaging the future for
the surrounding guys.
John's worried about mortgaging the future.
That's what I'm worried about too, Joseph.
I'm worried that everything goes back. I'm worried that
get that in the draft.
I'm worried you Brooklyn yourself. KD, I'm worried you Brooklyn yourself. KD falls off a cliff or gets hurt, and then he's stuck here on a long deal. And he becomes useless. And Tatum's like, I'm gone, and that's it. Bye. That's a bunch of lottery picks, that's you're Brooklyning yourself. You can't rebuild after that, which means the next competitive Celtics team comes 10 years from now. And that's a risk you take. So that's the downside. Though
Well,
when
you could be great. You could also be great for 5 years and lose. And
you could. I just wish it was a younger player. I was more willing to give the pick. I liked picks. I would have given the 3 picks in the TPE for Murray faster than I would give the picks for a 34-year-old Durant, even though I recognize, and Brown, because you're giving up a massive asset plus your future.
I'm stunned in the comments. People are just saying, nope, don't want Durant. Too old. We're fine with
it's not too old.
Well,
it goes
just completely dismissing the potential to add one of the greatest players ever who's still close to the peak of his powers. It's unreal to me. You won't even consider it.
It just goes against everything that this organization has built itself up in the last 6 months, right? It's not about
okay.
You act like that's 6 decades.
Guys,
well, look,
you built up Jaylen Brown to this point.
Yeah,
you
guys were. Well, maybe
exactly.
not Bobby,
you built them up to the point where you can now
the most
trade
dynamic
him.
duo. You know, like
you do that in year 3 of Jaylen Brown. Not after year 6 as he's entering his prime. And again, you're talking about if Durant dips even a little, which is expected at his age, and Brown gets even a little better, they're close to the same tier. And you've got 10 more years of Brown versus Durant. It's insane to me that people are so willing to toss him in.
You know what? You're not going to get Brown for the next 10 years because that's not what happens in today's NBA. So don't project 10 years down the road.
The reason it happens is because the money. When Jaylen Brown can sign here for a supermax at $50 million per, or leave it on the table and go somewhere else, that money talks. I mean, it incentivizes you to stay with the team. You know,
it does incentivize you. And then what happens, John? They ask for a trade a year later or 2 years later.
But that's with then don't develop any stars. Get a bunch of Marcus Smarts and throw them out there and hope that you're fine. If you have any stars,
I love that 5 stars.
What the hell does that mean? They developed him, and now they have the opportunity.
That can happen with any star. Anthony Davis was developed. James Harden, obviously, he wasn't in Houston his whole life, but when he got there, he was their guy until he didn't want to be their guy anymore. Any star, when he recognizes, I look around and I don't like it anymore, can leave. That includes homegrown stars. So there's no that can happen to Tatum at any time. I mean, that's an uncertainty you live with anytime you have star caliber players. As soon as they get past a certain point and they got that 7 years where you control them, where you have their restricted rights and then their rookie
what
deal.
Are you saying? You're contradicting
year 8 and on, they determine what they do. That's just the reality of the NBA.
Right, and that's going to be the reality of Celtics players too. So why are you projecting the next 10 years Jaylen Brown in a Celtics jersey when you
because anybody you trade for can also in a year say I don't like it here anymore.
Right.
That's
and
just
anybody you don't trade for can.
So I'll roll the dice on the asset that's younger.
You want the better player if it's straight up, and it's Durant.
I'll roll the dice on the asset that's younger and has more time and potentially could give you 10 years of service versus a guy that everybody in this chat who wants says, I'm looking at 2 good years here. Then you better win a title. The Nets also.
Could be 4. You got him for 4 years.
I don't know.
Listen, do we think Kevin Durant is going to continue to, go in this direction, go upwards in his play? No, but he's still at such a high point where even if he did, diminish talent a little bit here, a little bit there, he's still an all-star level player for the next 4 years.
It's a 34-year-old guy with a major injury on his resume who missed 40 games last year as well with an injury. I don't know how we're just assuming 4
Brown
good years.
Has injury concerns too.
It's not perfect, but he's
Brown's
also
had
25.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
You can connect the dots with Brown's injuries.
Here's my take.
Brown.
Would I do Brown and all of the first, of course? Yes. If you have to throw in Rob, I would think long and hard about it because I think that's a lot of your core and your depth there. That wouldn't be as easy. If they're asking for more, which they potentially could be, let's say it's Rob, Smart, Brown pick, then it's no. But if it's Brown and picks,
I'm not looking.
That's such a massive upgrade. Do you want a straight shot at a championship? Or
Bobby, I gotta say, again, when Kevin Durant's not on the table, every Celtics fan tells me they're the favorites in the East and absolutely title contenders, and they were in the finals. Hold on, wait a second. No, come on, seriously. When I suggest moving things or shaking things up because I don't love the roster, everyone's
6 months ago.
Everyone's like, even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, everyone's like, you're crazy. This team was right on the cusp of the finals. They're all getting better. All they need is a veteran, and they're going back. And now it's, you can't possibly win with this core unless you get Kevin Durant. Pick a lane. You got to pick one.
You pick
especially
one.
when
both.
Especially when you were 2 wins away. Like if this team didn't make the finals, if this team was so far behind, then you would entertain the idea more because you would think maybe this core is just not going to work. Maybe they're not as talented, or we gave them too much props that they could be a championship contending team. But they were 2 wins away, and there's a ceiling above both of those guys in Tatum and Brown. Now, if Celtics fans are worried that they're going to implode and that these two are going to, or that Jaylen might leave in a year or so, all right, yeah, that's definitely possible.
And
but
I would make.
Don't you want to see it through though? Like, don't you?
I
would
make a move.
How this thing would happen?
No, you wouldn't.
I would make a move. I just don't want to do it for a 34-year-old to give you a window of 1 to 2 years before you think you're starting
Who's a better
to see decline.
option?
John, when you think of Kevin Durant, the first thing shouldn't be 34-year-old. First of all, I'm offended as a fellow 34-year-old. Have some respect. Second of all,
This is a dream to be in pole position for this player.
right. Listen, and I'm not trying to dismantle the team for him. I don't think you need to. If they do, then yeah, maybe you think twice about it. But John, if you're the same guy who said 2 weeks ago that, you're all butthurt because people told you that you were wrong for wanting to change up the roster, now you have an opportunity to change up the roster.
But I don't want to do it for this. I don't want to do it for that. I would absolutely do it. It's not. I would do it, but I don't want to do it for a 34-year-old player coming off an Achilles injury who has a 1 to 2 year window of being successful for an ascending player who I honestly think isn't necessarily that far off. In 2 years, you could be talking about the same exact player. And that means you're selling out because you think you're going to win a championship this year or next. That's always the deal that you're doing there.
What if you win?
Would everyone take that one championship for 10 years of darkness? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, I would do it again. I don't think it was that
But
hard.
if you already think you're there,
if
you already think you're knocking on the door, why not?
Yeah.
But from Jake Fisher, who everybody loves.
What up, Jake?
Gallinari, yep. And Gallinari picking between Chicago and Boston for his next team. Bulls have much of the full MLE to offer, roughly $8 million and a hair more than the Celtics. But Boston appears to be his preferred landing spot. So
yeah,
because they have the championship aspirations.
Must be a
championship aspirations, and he loves the child, and he got the.
I just don't understand it. Everyone's like, I love Celtics. I love that we're homegrown. It makes it so much better. Rob and Smart and Jaylen and Jason, they're homegrown. Get them out of here. Get them out, all of them.
It's not equal though, because we're talking about.
Says that. Second of all, it's not just for some schmuck.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
It's not. 2 years ago, I walked Jaylen to the airport. I don't like 34 coming off a major injury. I'm just telling you. It does not. I know Durant is the type of player that could age well. It is risky.
You said that on the show.
You got to take a risk.
You said that yourself.
I have said it.
34.
I don't. Why do you have to take a risk if you have a young core that went to the finals? The Celtics are in need of a risk.
Yes, for this level of a play, the upside is ginormous.
I wouldn't say
we just finished.
You're
that
shutting your own window.
Harden's a risk. Kyrie's a risk. You can go down the line with guys that are a risk. I don't put Kevin Durant in that category, even though he is older. I don't look at him and say, "Oh my God, major red flag, alert."
No, there's no major red flags. There's some minor ones.
Yeah, every trade comes with some risk. Nobody knows. Every trade a team makes thinks that they're winning the trade. Newsflash, everybody. So yeah, one team ends up winning and one team ends up losing it. But if you sit there on your hands for the next 5 years because you think you're right on the brink of something good, guess what? 5 years goes by like that, and you got nothing for Tatum walks or Jaylen walks or Rob gets hurt and he's not the same, and Marcus Smart, whatever happens with him. You can sit there and just rest on your laurels of the previous year all you want. But at some point, if a player becomes available, I love this discussion. You might want to take a jab at it.
You have to go into next season thinking that they're going to evolve, like thinking that there's another step there. I think there is. If you guys don't think that,
you hear what we just said, Joe?
I can see why you want Durant.
I'm not saying that they're in trouble. I'm not saying that it's over for them if they don't make the trade. But how do you not at least consider the option? if they don't make the trade and they go into the next season with the same core, I'm not like pissed about it. All I'm saying is once in a blue moon, I guess more often now than ever, but usually once in a blue moon, a superstar player becomes available, and you have to at least take a good look at the options that you have in order.
We're
to make
all
that.
saying it. It's just simply the fact that he's 34 years old, and I worry the cliff is coming much sooner than you guys think. We just saw James Harden fly off a cliff after a team gave up the Godfather deal to get him. I get it, but he completely at a little bit younger than Durant's going to be to start this year. He fell off a cliff completely. Different type of guy, different person in terms of how they take care of their body, but Durant's also coming off a major injury. It is disaster city when you buy something and you're like, oh shit, the decline, it just happened. And we're even talking about if he dips 10%, 15%, is he that much better than Jaylen Brown? I mean, this is logical that he will fall. It's logical that Kevin Durant will probably still have value through the course of his deal with the Nets, but it's also extremely logical that he's going to get 5, 10, 15% worse, which is going to put him on a plane with Jaylen Brown. So I don't understand the thinking behind that. That's the safe assumption is that's going to happen. It's pie in the sky that he's going to be awesome forever. That's like my dad's going to live till he's 150. Like
John,
it's just
John, weren't you saying a couple years ago you should be scared of him in the Nets because of how good they're going to be?
Today.
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Today,
a couple days
Durant
ago.
gives you
Days ago, he
the
said
best
that,
chance
Bobby.
of a championship today.
Couple days ago he said it. Couple weeks ago he said it. Couple months ago he said it. He's been scared.
Can we not see the nuance in this?
He's been scared of the Nets since Kevin Durant put on the jersey, but now he has an opportunity.
Yesterday, I'm projecting 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, when you've absolutely emptied the cupboard of all your resources.
And that's fair. Like this could age toward the back end of the deal.
Not just towards, it could age pretty quick. You look, I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to say this again, and it's a different scenario, but like the Halliburton trade, they're like, well, they did get one of the top players in what's his name? Oh Jesus Christ, what's his name? Sabonis.
The Sabonis trade, Sacramento. Yeah.
And that within 2 months, you're like, wait a second, Halliburton's already better than him. You know, like it's like it just takes a little bit of improvement for Jaylen Brown to get into that level. And you're like, oh shoot, we gave away that young guy. What do we do that for?
And coming off the NBA, coming off the NBA finals, I'd say Jaylen's confidence at an all-time high. In his mind, he's like, man, I outplayed Jason Tatum. And we came up short, but hey, I'm excited for next year.
Here's the thing, though, Joe Tsai.
You got them all in.
The improvement quickly turns, as we just mentioned, toward Danilo Gallinari. Like, how much can you project being better?
That's the piece coming off the bench.
That's nothing. Why are we comparing Gallinari?
Yeah. I'm not saying put him in the starting lineup and all of a sudden he's part of this core, but he's a piece off the bench that you didn't have last season.
I was told repeatedly all the Celtics needed to do was add a person like Gallinari and they'd be back to the finals. Now it's like, Bobby, I'd rather have Durant than Gallinari.
Bobby, if Gallinari played on that Celtics team, would he have not been the best player off the bench? In my opinion, like honestly, like after game one,
possible. I mean, he would have been dreadful defensively.
He's the best player off your bench. Like this team needed offense from somebody, and no one could step up, especially those last 3 games of the NBA final. They need guys that are not afraid to step up. And right now, if you're the Celtics, that's what you're looking at. That's your focus. You can't be distracted by, oh, wait, should we break up this core? Man, we have a chance to get Kevin Durant. No, you have to focus on what your team needs to be better. You know, it's hard. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's hard thinking, man, but what if they get him? You know, what if Miami Heat all of a sudden get Kevin Durant? What's that going to mean? But you can't go about it this way if you're Brad Stevens. You have to think about addressing your issues. And right now, it's trying to add to that bench. Right now, it's Gallinari. You're in a bidding war, I guess, or whatever it is, because I guess they can't offer more than what the Chicago Bulls can offer. But
and they might be offering 2 years, so that could be.
You're
about to lose out on Gallinari. You're in trouble in terms of what
you are. That's the point. Yeah.
Read the report.
Yeah, but that's the thing about what the
Patty Mills, Brooklyn, right 2 years, 14.5.
You can't even get Mills. If you miss out on Durant, this is gonna drop off.
If you miss out on Durant, Durant was never a realistic possibility, nor is it now. This is always going to be.
So why are we doing a show?
I'm saying the Celtics were always.
Bobby.
The Celtics were always going to be picking up scraps with nothing but an MLE, a $6.5 million 1-year deal to offer. This is not surprising.
Yeah.
Any team
Stop
who says
looking around the NBA, Bobby, or stop looking at the Devontae Murrays and being like, man, the Celtics could have got that. Like,
yeah, do that little Bobby, do that meme with Bobby looking back at people, so you know.
Oh, that's Bobby, like 100%. He's always looking at the other. Oh, so, what about that girl over there? That could be with her.
How is this team
gonna? Whoa, Patty Mills.
Nice.
So without Murray, without Gallinari, without Mills, without really anything coming in here, if this is the way it's going to go, how are they going to address the playmaking issues along with the spacing issues?
They're not. They're either going to spend deep into the tax by using that by using the TPE, or they get lucky and there's some crumbs left out at the end when everybody gives all their money away and one guy is left without a dance partner like Schroeder last year, but hopefully a better fit. That's always been the way. That's not surprising, you know?
Yeah, you're a really good team, but you had some glaring issues in the playoffs that could have cost you your run in round 2. And I hate to do that, but it just goes back to the fact that this team has to make some additions, find some ways to patch up some of its problem spots here. I'm not completely opposed to running it back, and I do think internal improvement could really drive this team. But you reached a point at the finals where you were turning the ball over like maniacs. You lost your composure a little bit. You had a bench that couldn't play at all, and you lost 3 games in a row pretty badly to lose.
Bobby hates this Celtics team.
I'm just being realistic about what happened. They weren't right on the precipice of winning it. They didn't lose Game 7 at the buzzer.
You are stealing my material right now, Bobby.
Dude, I don't know who's who. I don't know who's who right now.
You guys are Swiss rolls. What's going on here? Damn.
I just don't listen.
Bobby wants the Celtics to hit a home run in this offseason. I don't know if that's.
I'm as big of a fan of Jaylen Brown as anybody. He's right underneath the Horford one. It's Brown,
and I'm not, and I'm saying this.
But you have to be realistic about who we're talking about here. If you really want to think long and hard about this and say, all right, this core is great. They're going to continue to get better. Durant's aging. The cost is going to be too high, etc. I'll accept that. If you're just going to look at his name and go, nope, don't want Durant, I don't get that. He's one of the best players ever. Like I don't know how you can just say no outright. This isn't Beal, this isn't Simmons, this isn't Murray. Like this is Kevin Durant, especially if he wants to come here, which I still haven't gotten a good gauge on. Like if he wants to come here, then I think you have to definitely entertain what the cost is going to be. Like I said, my take is if it's Brown and picks, I'm all for it. If it's more than that, probably not, because you're probably not deep enough. And let's also acknowledge this guy could be a huge help to Tatum's growth, freeing up him for better looks, helping him model his game after Durant's game. All the little things that go into it and make Durant one of the best players ever could rub off on Tatum. The experience of having played USA with him, does this make Tatum more enamored with Boston long term? Like those are things you got to think about too.
All I have to say is this is nothing but Jaylen disrespect here. Nothing but Jaylen.
That's what I hate about it, because that's what it's going to become.
You disgust. I knew what this was about.
Nothing but Jaylen disrespect. You guys are the ones driving Jaylen out of town. You guys.
I hate this. I hate this, John.
He would have liked that comment from John. He would have liked that comment.
I hate this, John, because they're not going to do it, and it's going to turn into Brown Disrespect City, and then we're going to do another show on that, and I'm going to be one of the guys who is disrespecting Brown.
But also, Celtics fans, do you remember that you hate Kevin Durant and like everything he stands for, and spend a lot of time on Twitter like needling him and about what a baby he is and all of his burner accounts? Like, you don't like this guy. You don't like him. I want to remind you that you don't like Kevin Durant. You don't want to be associated with a Kevin Durant winning team. Trust me, you don't. Like, you think you do, but you don't. You don't like Kevin Durant. You have to be reminded of it. You hate him. He's one of your least favorite players in the NBA.
No, he is. But if you're trying to win, you kind of have to swallow.
This is a real question, John. I wonder what
John. That's my biggest concern, is that I would hate the Celtics.
You would hate them.
I know. But I also feel like he might just be awesome, and people would just be like, "Yeah, he's freaking awesome." Maybe he just changes the whole opinion everybody has on him. He just is this killer. Comes to Boston like KG did, and just completely flips the script on the on where everything's at, and like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the Golden State's version of KD or Brooklyn's version of KD. We don't even know that guy. Like that's a possibility."
Well, for what it's worth, he would definitely be way more Celtic than anybody else. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it out there. I can see Durant doing the whole like, "This is my city now." Like, for that aspect, and obviously seeing the Celtics trade for one of the best scorers of all time would be interesting, obviously. But does it make you better? Are you a better team? Not even in the long run, but in the next couple.
Yeah,
in the next 2 years, like, are you a better team with KD outside? Without Jaylen or whatever else is going to cost them.
You think KD's selling out and playing Ime's branded defense for 42 minutes a game? Like, I mean,
he's a baller. Like,
I like KD. I don't think he's quitting on him.
I just tweeted at Bobby. I just murdered Bobby with a meme. I just made the meme while we were talking.
He's gonna defend John. I don't think he's a defender he used to be, but this is a guy who defends. This is a guy that can make some plays. This is a guy that can make people around him better. This is a guy that can carry you to a championship, as we've seen.
I think he lurks, Bobby. I don't know if he plays defense. He lurks.
Live meme maker. Saw me make it live, tweeted it at Bobby, just killed him live on Twitter.
Here's my question for you, because I'm not discounting your points about the personality, John. I think the personality points are a concern.
I'm just saying you won't want to root for him when he's here. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so you don't think it gets in the way?
That's the only good point you've made on this show tonight.
You know why I love my favorite topic. My favorite topics are always ones that people are so passionate and certain that they're right on both sides, and it's a dead split. It's friggin' perfect. As many people who are like, "It's KD, are you insane?" You have just as many on the other side. Like, I would never trade Jaylen.
But John, do those personality points get in the way of you winning?
Yes.
All right,
Man,
so it's a real concern.
With the throwback pick on too.
Wait, show him mine, John. Show him mine.
I don't have yours.
This wasn't yours?
This one for me.
No, that's not mine, but I love that one.
I thought this was yours.
It's very close.
Jimmy, wait. Show him mine.
Meanwhile, Jimmy has said the same.
Yes, Jimmy,
thing.
we'll put your drawing up on the fridge too. I'm sure it's very good.
Do mine next. Do mine next. That's great though. I didn't have time to crop heads on stuff. I just had to do.
I was gonna say, damn, you did that quickly.
Classic meme text.
That's good stuff.
That one kind of stole my thunder.
I'm actually surprised I'm sitting in the corner I am here without much people agreeing with me. Jimmy agrees with me, which I think is valid, but again, it's Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant.
This one was Jimmy's.
Don't get too comfortable with that. What do we got? Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Jimmy just did names.
But that could be for anything. That doesn't just go for KD or.
Yeah, flip and flop.
What did I flip flop on here?
Simmons earlier,
Brady.
and then
the Simmons was epic.
Yeah.
All-time flip-flop on Xanis. I mean,
this is one of my favorite shows we've done in a long time. It really
circumstances change. It's going to be very interesting because they will be in on this in some form or fashion. I don't know if they're going to dive all the way in, but like Jimmy said, it's due diligence going after a guy like this. I do wonder though, with Brad's comments about like the team and the identity that they built and the fragileness of that, this would certainly crash that argument in a million pieces if you did something like this. So I wouldn't be stunned at all if they just say no thanks and run it back and do what they're doing here.
Well, the other thing is when a player with, if a player with a big salary wants to go to a certain couple of teams, sometimes you need to get that third team involved. And that's the way the Celtics can get involved.
That's a side benefit of this.
They can dump a contract or pick up a team. Like Trader Danny would be all over this. It'd be like the TPE trade machine. He would be doing it all, trying to get his hands on the trade in some way. So this is an
calling other teams.
Exactly. Interesting spot for Brad to be in. If they don't get KD, or if KD just doesn't want to come to Boston, which probably is true, then how else can they get involved? And just there's other avenues. So yeah, obviously Brad's got, the phone's ringing right now, seeing how they can get involved in it, even if they don't get him directly. And
guys,
probably getting a worse Nets team out of this. So it's good news for the Celtics either way, whether he comes to Boston, especially if he goes out west. Put him back out west, weaken the East a little bit more, makes the Celtics.
What if he goes to Miami, though?
If he goes, I don't know how can Miami do it. I don't know. They say
well, the Bam Adebayo thing is
available.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah,
Bam.
This is complicated. And again, like I think Boston's in a really good position if they want to do this to make it happen, because the other teams are really in a tough spot to make this work.
Well, the competitive teams, right?
It can go forever. And honestly, it's a really good debate. And I see the merit to the other side for sure. And it's not totally dismissing. I don't think it's crazy. It's just hedging your bet. Which side of it are you on? Are you nervous about the age and the window and the fit? Or do you think Jaylen has another level? Do you think they're going to come kind of meet each other somewhere in the middle? That's where I am. I think they'll meet each other in the middle sooner than later. And that you'll be annoyed that you gave all that stuff away for roughly the same caliber player in a year from now or something like 2 years from now. And then it's possible KD just, continues just annihilating the league for the next 3-4 years. And you think, well, shit, I should have done it. So I get it all.